Guys, today we'll be reviewing two movies. Tom and Jerry, 2021, and Luca. These are the two new... I have watched a lot of other movies between now and then, but they're not newer movies. For example, Only the Brave. Only the Brave is a masterpiece of filmmaking, but it's not recent, so no one's gonna watch it. I kind of find it odd that, people only care about recent releases. But Luca is a movie that exists. Is it? Is it? Does it live up to Pixar's incredible reputation? A movie like Ratatouille. I actually saw Ratatouille recently. It was actually a pretty good movie. Or Cars. I know people hate Cars, but actually, a lot of people do like Cars. But well, at least people who watch my videos like Cars. But and of course, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Not really the fourth one that much. Actually, the fourth one is okay, but it's not really the best Toy Story movie. I think the first three are better, and they sort of ended it at the third one. Okay, but it's still a solid continuation. And of course, movies like Finding Nemo, Coco, Soul, which Soul is relatively recently. And of course, you have some movies that are very overrated that are made by Pixar as well. Up and both of The Incredibles. Yep, both of them, because both the Incredibles movies has their defenders. And if you criticize the Incredibles, they will basically complain that you don't have a childhood for not liking one fucking movie. But now we're talking about Luca. So Luca is about this movie about this kid, about this boy who is a sea monster. And basically in society, sea monsters are basically treated as, evil creatures. And, you know, basically throughout the whole movies, they try to hide the fact that they're sea monsters, which means if they touch any form of water, they will turn into back to a sea monster, and they have to get the water off to turn them back. This is a very very good concept of a movie, because you have this sense of urgency that you don't want to be found out for who you are, because of course the village hates sea monsters. They view them as evil creatures, therefore they want them gone. They're considered, evil creatures. Even though sea monsters were very much like humans, they have their own societies, they have their own, things they do, things they like, and they're also harmless creatures, of course, as well, because Luca and Alberto have not really hurt anyone throughout the movie. Maybe if they made a sequel of an evil sea monster that is basically like a pirate crew guy, like a group of a pirate crew or something, which would be a pretty interesting idea, for a sequel, about make the sequel about pirates. I know it's very generic, but I don't care. But Luca is a basically this girl who wants to be in a race basically says, I want to be, but I can't do the whole race because I want to do it by myself because I have no friends. And they volunteer to join the race. And of course, we have a villain. It's basically the Luca's version of Chick Hicks. Basically, someone who mocks you and makes fun of you for, not being good enough. Yeah, they basically all did it with Chick Hicks. I think his name was like, oh yeah, it's this guy. Not Salve Ramado, Erico Visconi. Yeah, he's basically Chick Hicks 2.0. And he's probably the most hated character of the movie. And at the end of the movie, just like Chick Hicks and Cars, he gets what he deserves at the very end. The visuals are pretty good in this movie. And this movie is also set in Italy as well. So if you like Italy, you'll like this movie, basically. And this movie represents Italian culture very well. You even have the guy eating spaghetti. And also, like, the dad guy also hates sea monsters like everybody else because the sea monster bit one of his arms off in the movie. So, yeah. But, yeah, I basically spoiled the entire movie for you. I'm not going to spoil the ending. But it's a very, very, very... Okay. Spoilers if you haven't seen Luca yet. Which, basically, at the very end of the movie, everybody realizes that Luca and Alberto are not evil monsters that are hell-bent on killing people, and they should be treated just like anyone else. Basically, they are now equal in society. Which basically this movie teaches racism lessons in this movie. Yep, it does. Because basically throughout history, the sea monsters have been persecuted, and now they finally get to be a part of society and no longer be looked at like the monsters. So overall, Luca is a pretty solid movie. I don't think it's one of Pixar's best movies. Pixar has definitely made far worse movies than this. Okay, Turning Red, Up, okay, and The Good Dinosaur as well. And of course, the two most overrated movies of all time, Who Must Not Be Named. You know what movies I'm talking about if you've seen this channel before, where I ranked all the Pixar movies. But yeah, Luca is actually a solid movie. Okay, which is surprising that I'm saying it's a solid movie. I wouldn't go out and buy it on Blu-ray. I didn't even buy Soul and Coco on Blu-ray. But it's a solid movie. So if you want to have a solid movie for the whole family to watch, Luca is a pretty okay choice. It's definitely much better than... Really, there's only other option, the Boss Baby. But the Boss Baby is alright as well. You know, Boss Baby Family Business. It has its own charms as well. And also has its own messages as well. So both movies are pretty solid. But I think this movie is better than Enchanto. Which, again, is another L for Enchanto. Because Enchanto is just not that great of a movie. Despite what the Oscars praise it as. Which further proves that the Oscars are a bunch of fucking bullshit. And that's it about the Oscars. They suck. Okay, now we're talking about Tom and Jerry. So Tom and Jerry is basically your typical Tom and Jerry movie. Okay, there isn't really anything special about this movie. So you're looking for a completely unique experience. Basically, you know, they have to hold this wedding, which they spoil in the trailer. And of course, Tom and Scary screw it up, and basically they have to fix what they have done. Which I think is pretty interesting. Of course, at the very end of the movie, Tom and Jerry, of course, get back to fighting each other like they always do. And it's basically a typical Tom and Jerry movie. It has some funny scenes in it as well. And, you know, and there are also the plots for the human characters. Basically, this girl stole her resume to get hired, which is a pretty scummy move. But then, of course, because he saves the way at the end of the movie, basically, she gets hired again. Tom and Jerry is just a very simple movie as well. Well, the plot isn't that great, and it's definitely one of the worst movies of the year. I can definitely see why people don't like this movie as much. But this movie could be a guilty pleasure of mine in the future, just like Cars 2 is. You know, a movie that everybody hates, but I at least will sometimes watch if it's funny. If I find it funny. But even then, Cars 2 I think is a funnier movie than Tom and Jerry. So, yeah, Tom and Jerry. And even then, if I really want to watch Tom and Jerry, I can just watch the original Tom and Jerry's instead, which are much better than this movie ever could be. So yeah, Tom and Jerry, I would give this movie a 5 out of 10. It's not that special, it's mediocre, and it's still better than Turning Red and Hotel Transylvania 4. Yep, it's still better than those piles of garbage. Because both Hotel Transylvania 4 and Turning Red are completely not good movies. And overall, Tom and Jerry was alright. And it had some funny scenes in it as well. But doesn't hold a candle to classic Tom and Jerry, which, you know, is not too surprising because modern Tom and Jerry is not that great, especially Tom and Terry Tales. But they have definitely tried to gone back to what made Tom and Jerry funny, but we won't see, you know, all the funny stuff like in the original movies, because of course we would have, you know, Peter crying out, "Oh my god, Tom and Jerry are drinking alcohol. Oh my god, there's racist scenes in it," as well. And if you really want to, and I bet they probably censored scenes out of the old Tom and Jerry cartoons as well, so just buy the video on DVD or Blu-ray, all the Tom and Jerry. It's pretty easy to get the Tom and Jerry movies on Blu-ray and DVD. So yeah, it's very, very easy, especially on DVD. Tom and Jerry is everywhere on DVD. You can really get all the old Tom and Jerry episodes. Yes, the old ones, like the original Tom and Jerry episodes, for like $20. It's very, very cheap to get the Tom and Jerry, you know, movies But yeah, Tom and Jerry is alright. It's not, a masterpiece, or it's just mediocre. It had its funny scenes, and, you know, I've been wanting to see this for a year. And no, I'm not crying. I'm sick, okay? As well. But yeah, there we go. That's my review of Tom and Jerry and Luca in one video. So yeah, there was one last Pixar movie I have to see, and that's Onward. So we can finally rank every single Pixar movie ever made. So yeah, I have to see whatever Onward is. I bet it'll be disappointment, just like, Turning Red. But it might surprise me like Luca. So yeah, Tom and Jerry, yeah, it's mediocre. Goodbye.